Here are the tools you'll need to make the pop-up slider. You need one circle punch, something for scoring, a scissors in case we make a mistake and want to trim something off, some glue or some adhesive, any kind that you want, a trimmer, and then your papers. And I'll get to the sizes first and then I'll walk you through it. You need 2 pieces of paper that are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is a regular A2 size card size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and one insert piece that's slightly smaller at 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. I'll say that one more time. 2 pieces at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, one piece at 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, let's get started. I'd like to give you a small tip if you've never made a card like this before. Make sure that one of your pieces that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 is white, and that your inside piece for the slider is also white. That'll make it so much easier when you're writing or stamping your greetings on the inside because they'll show up for sure. Now we're going to be working with your pattern paper, the one that's going to be on the outside. And we're going to slide this in at 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to cut from the 3/4 inch line down to the 4 3/4 inch. Then we're going to flip our piece of cardstock over and put it back in at 3/4 of an inch. And then we're going to cut the same exact one. And since I'm down at the bottom here, I'm going to start at the 4 3/4 and go up to the 3/4 inch mark. Okay, so now you should have 2 cuts going from 3/4 of an inch down to 4 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and these 2 that we have on this side at 3/4 of an inch, we're going to connect those. So put it back in at 3/4. And go from that one mark and cut it down to the other. It's about 3 1/2 down to 3/4. Mine wasn't perfect, so like I said, I'm just going to grab my scissors for the mistakes and just snip that little piece off. And I missed a little on this side as well, so I'm just going to snip that off. There we go. And now your card should look like this. You should have an open flap. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to score this. So we're going to put this in. Whoops, we want to put it in with the open side first. That's going to be at 1 1/4 inches. And this is where we're going to do our scoring. So grab your score tool. Okay, 1 1/4 inches. And we're only scoring on this tab. We're not scoring across the whole card. So at 1 1/4 inches, you want to score that. Then you want to slide it into 3 inches and score there. And then 4 3/4. And that's going to catch the very end. Okay, and we'll go over it one more time if you're walking through it with me. 1 1/4, 3 inches, and then 4 3/4. Now all we have to do is fold our score lines. So fold that one up, this one down, and this one up. And then you'll have the mechanism that's going to slide it. Okay. Flip that guy over. And at the very first one right here, let me make sure I get my, there we go. Right here is where we're going to put our tape on the very small piece. I'm going to go ahead and use my ATG gun and put a piece of tape there. And that's where we're going to put this little piece. You're going to line it up with the edge of this, right where you put the tape. Okay, and make sure that you center it well. And then just glue it down. And before we glue this part on, we want to make sure that we stamp or punch our hole, And this is going to be the top, since the slider is going to come up this way. So we're going to punch a hole right here at the top. Try to center it the best you can. And then we're going to line up the other piece that we had with that one. And if you flip it over, you'll be able to see right where you punched that hole. So you can line it up again and make sure that you punch it really close to the first one so that they match pretty well. Okay. And now back to the gluing. This is our back side because you can tell that's all covered. We're going to put glue all the way around these three sides and glue it together. If you don't want your card coming apart, I would suggest using red line tape or possibly a wet glue. And then I like to line this part up. If you want to lift this up and see where that bump is, those two are going together. Okay, I like to line it up at the top because I can use my scissors to do trimming at the bottom if I don't get it exactly right. As long as the top is good, I just push it down. Okay, then I'm going to flip it over and look. Do I have any white hanging off the edges? Just a tiny bit right there, but it's not noticeable. And then I'm going to give it a try. And it works beautifully. And now all I have to do is decorate it up. So let's see a finished card that's all decorated. Okay, I've done this one the same exact way. I added an extra piece to the top for a pull tab. Makes it a little bit harder to get in and out of there. But you can do that. You can punch a hole on the paper itself and put a string in there if you want. And when you pull it out, you can see I used white, so there's definitely a place for that sentiment there. And then on this side, there's also room for another sentiment, which I left blank because I want to put my own personal note when I decide who I'm going to give this to. And then I just decorated the top. Now, make sure that you have your card flat when you're adding something because you're not limited to just this little rectangle spot. It can go beyond. It can be a different shape. You can be creative with it. But like I said, make sure that the card is flat when you're measuring to see whether this is going to go on there because this tab makes your card longer. And this piece, if it hangs over the top, can make your card longer. And then you're going to need a specialized envelope for that. So if you don't want a specialized envelope, do not add this extra tab. And make sure that whatever you glue on the top is going to remain within the confines of your 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay? And then you can decorate it and add anything that you want to it. So good luck with that. It's called a pop-up slider card. I hope you enjoyed it and it was clear. If not, leave a comment below with a question. I'll try to answer it the best I can, and I'll see you guys next video.